In 2016, we got Walt Disney Animation's Zootopia, directed by Jared Bush and Byron Howard, starring Ginnifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, and Idris Elba. This movie is about a undervalued bunny cop taking on Zootopia's toughest case with the help of a sly fox. So we're going to dive into Zootopia and help you decide whether or not it's the right one to watch as a Christian right now. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I am your host Tim, and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Zootopia is rated PG for some thematic elements, as well as some rude humor and some action. So we're going to dive into any convictions you may have that may prevent you from watching this movie, any theological themes present within it, and then wrap it up with my own personal thoughts on the film. Without further ado, let's dive into the Christian Conviction Meter. In case you are brand new here to the channel, the Christian Conviction Meter is a series of 5 convictions that may distract or hinder your relationship with Jesus. Ultimately, this is a guide, tool, and resource to help you figure out whether or not Zootopia aligns with the convictions that God has given you. And kicking things off with violence and gore here, this is an animated movie, so it is going to be not as realistic as, say, a live-action feature film. That being said, there still is some mild animated action here. It is about a bunny cop trying to solve a crime, so there is going to be action that relates to that sphere of genre. At the same time, too, there is a few cuts, scrapes, no blood.
And death.
But there is, like I said, some cuts, scrapes that are visible within the animation. At the same time, too, there's a few chase sequences, both on foot and in vehicles. All of that is a part of the film. It can be pretty intense. Action that fall into the Disney animated realm. So they're not going to be super crazy explosive action, but you are going to have a few things here. Speaking of explosive action, there is a couple explosions here later on within the film, but again, it is still all pretty mild here in terms of its action. Animation does allow for less heavy action and more kind of mild. That being said, we're going to give this a 2 out of 5 in this category. Our next category is lust, and the only thing that is remotely a part of this movie, we do have to keep in mind it is a Walt Disney animated movie, and it also is a PG film. But there is a joke about how there are some animals who are in a naturalistic center, so they're deemed naked by the Zootopia standards. It's all a joke, all meant for crude humor, but that is about it. We are going to give this a 0 out of 5 as there's nothing explicitly lust-oriented within this film. Our next category is substances, and like most Disney animated feature films, you're not going to see any sort of abuse of any substances. That being said, there is a chemical that does cause a very large reaction into some of these characters. It is a pretty big plot point within the film. I'm trying to be vague to avoid spoilers here, but there is a chemical that does cause just some issues within the movie. Just to be on the safe side here, we are going to give this a 1 out of 5. I do want to preface, though, that it really isn't explicitly a drug or alcohol in particular. Our next category is profanity, and just like all Disney animated movies, you don't have any sort of language in this film. It's going to be a 0 out of 5 in this category. And our last category is intense/horror scenes. This is in no way, shape, or form a horror film, so you don't have to worry about any of that, but there is some pretty intense moments throughout. Like I mentioned earlier, there are a few chase sequences and some explosions that happen throughout the film, and the case can be pretty intense, especially when some animals are enraged and they act out pretty violently, quote unquote. They don't really cause any sort of damage here to anyone in particular. There is that there that can be pretty intense for younger viewers. At the same time, too, one thing that can breed a lot of intensity is the overarching kind of social narrative that this film has, which does dive into the idea of racism and some of those things, but they make it very palatable for those of all ages, with it being animals rather than humans, and just allowing that to kind of be the driving focus of the story. All that to say, just to be on the safe side here, we are going to give this a 3 out of 5. It may be a little high for this category, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, just due to some of the overall messaging that is a part of the film. I would not say it is bad by any means. It's actually really good, but that is something to keep in mind with this film. So our grand total on the conviction meter is going to be a 6 out of 25. This is pretty low on the conviction meter, although there are probably going to be lower Disney films that we've talked about. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is one of them. But this film does have some heavier tones. Again, it is pretty moderate in its intensity, just from the fact that it is dealing with just solving a case and solving crime, and also at the same time too, just the overall social messaging, like I said, that is a part of this film. But all that to say, if anything we talked about here within this portion of our review compromises your convictions in any way, shape, or form, don't watch the movie. No movie is worth your convictions. It is not worth compromising over if it compromises your convictions. That leads us beautifully as we dive into some theological themes that are present within Zootopia. And while I will say there is nothing explicitly about Jesus, the Bible, Christianity, the church contained within this film, I don't even know if there's like a church in the background of this film at all or anything, but that's besides the point. What is the point though is there is a line from Chief Bogo, who's voiced by Idris Elba, where he says, "Zootopia has always been broken." And that stuck with me on this rewatch of the film, because when you look at it from a Christian lens, you recognize that Zootopia is very much like our world today. It wants to be this great, wonderful place where you can do and be whatever you would like. The problem is that this world, just like Zootopia, is broken and fallen, and there are people who ultimately cause destruction and harm within the world, or they seek power, or they go against the natural design or order that is created. For us here on earth, we see people all the time who go against what God has said. They rather go their own way or seek their own power and wealth as a part of the fall of man that we see in Genesis chapter 3. Obviously, that is not a big driver of this film, but it is something that is harped on throughout this movie. We see the brokenness of Zootopia, and it is very similar to the brokenness of our world. At the same time too, there is a really cool moment of redemption that happens later on in the film with a character, and we do see that second chances are given. There is a VeggieTales song in which it talks about our God is a God of second chances. Our God is a God of second chances. And that is very much a big thing that is true. God does give second chances to anybody. Just thought those were pretty cool things, but again, nothing explicitly about Jesus, Christianity, or the Bible, the church, is within Zootopia. All of that to say, that leads us beautifully into our next topic as we dive into my thoughts on Zootopia. And I did touch on this during our convictions portion of the review. This movie does deal with some more mature themes and ideas that we don't really see within a Walt Disney animated film. For the most part, Disney keeps things very lighthearted and fun and desiring to just bring a smile to your face, a happily ever after sort of thing. And I will not say this film is necessarily the opposite of that, but it does have a bit more maturity, a bit more mature ideas and themes that are part of this movie. However, they do keep it quite palatable for all ages. The older you get, the more you understand, but even younger viewers are still able to engage and enjoy the film even without recognizing the more mature overarching themes that are a part of this movie, which is very unique but also really cool about this one in particular. And it does have a great story overall. It is very enjoyable with some great moments of action, some great moments of humor, some really good twists and turns that are executed very well within the film, but it also really centers on friendship, and it is highlighted by the dynamic between Judy Hopps, a bunny, and Nick Wilde a fox. Of course, playing into a little bit of the animal stereotypes here, it is cool to see just the way this film navigates that, has some fun with it as well, but also at the same time gives something very unique and different from the rest of Disney movies and even the rest of animation in general. There have been a lot of animal movies over the years, and so this one, surprisingly, one of its strengths is it separates itself from the rest of what has come before, and I think that is a huge benefit and plus to this film. At the same time too, it looks great. The animation is wonderful, it's enjoyable, and also the design, the way they designed the world of Zootopia with all the different sections and places and different themed environments that make up this film are very enjoyable, very cool, and overall just lend to making a really good Disney film. And ultimately, that is what this movie is, a very good Disney film. The pacing may not be the greatest at times, and there are a few moments that may be a little confusing, but this film overall is enjoyable. It's got a great story, great animation, great fun characters, and overall is a great experience. And I will say this also on top of that, I do think it is a modern Disney classic. It is one that not only is getting a sequel, hence why we're doing this review, but also at the same time too is one that I know audiences and fans of the film have gone back to over and over again over the almost 10 years since this film released. It's an enjoyable time, and it's personally one of my favorite Disney movies. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, a bit higher than you may expect, but I do really enjoy this film. I think it overall is really, really fun. So it's a 6 out of 25 on the conviction meter. It is a 9 out of 10 in our review. Those are my thoughts, so let me know yours down in the comments below. Let's chat all things about Zootopia in the comments, and while you're down there, consider hitting that like and subscribing for us. Joining our community here on YouTube, it just helps to send us further out into the eco space of YouTube and allows us to reach more Christians to help them utilize the convictions that God has given them. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with us here. I truly appreciate it. It means the absolute world to us that you would spend part of your day with us here. So thank you for that. If you want to continue to do so, there are a few videos over here that YouTube is recommending to you. One of which is one of our older Walt Disney animated movie reviews, specifically Lilo and Stitch. So if you want to take a look at that, it's available over here. And I have no clue what the other movie is, but hopefully it's good for you. And we'll see you all in the next one.